Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, just doing a sound check. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Gina, we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone. So first of all, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gina Nakaji, and I'm the director of our Customer Support Services organization here at Bonneville, and one of the executive sponsors for the Agency Enterprise Portal project. So it just brings me great pleasure to have this conversation with you today. We're very excited to be doing this training today for our Agency Enterprise Portal. So our AEP project really modernizes BPA's online public and customer experience. We were trying to deliver a supportable, flexible, and digital platform with one consistent experience. This platform will allow us to host BPA-produced content, provide secure access to customer-specific information, including metering information, billing information, and it will allow for more efficient customer to BPA information exchange. AEP will leverage our online presence to deliver a modern, seamless, and consistent portal interface to improve customer service and satisfaction, improve information availability, information exchange, and will reduce our transactional friction in doing business with BPA. And this effort aligns with our IT strategy to reduce maintenance costs and complexities by replacing customized end-of-life applications with commercial off-the-shelf solutions designed to improve reliability with new technology and vendor support. And in addition, we are also aware that customers have expressed that our existing enterprise public portal and customer portal are inefficient and outdated and must be updated to reduce risk of system loss and meet the requirements of the 21st century Integrated Digital Experience Act. This product also offers automated workflows to allow customers to become self-managed users with faster response times, user-initiated password resets. Customer portal admins can also manage their own users and security roles. So with all of that, I am going to go ahead and pass the mic back to Maggie so we can get this training started, which again, very excited. I'll just do one quick shout out. The team has done such an amazing job. It's been a long journey to get here. And so I'm so grateful to everyone on the team that's going to be providing the training to you all. So thank you.
Thank you, Gina. This is the Agency Enterprise Portal, which is two pieces. So Ryan will be giving our first part of the presentation.
Hello, I'm Ryan Zimmerman and going to talk to you a little bit today about the public side of our website. The first thing that you're presented with when you'll go to BPA.gov once we cut over. I want to walk you through some of the key sections and top-level areas and explain some of the logic for how we grouped and organized some of the content that we have here today to show you. On our existing website, one of the challenges that we've had for quite a while is being able to group all of the content into a logical way that allows for direct line of sight access from the top-level header down to every piece of content that's on the website. Today, we kind of have 5 different websites where the navigation scheme changes depending on whether or not you're looking at power content, transmission content, or something else. We've managed to reorganize our content so that it is all neatly packed into one high-level global navigation that gives a line of sight down to everything on BPA.gov. One of the first things you might notice is that it looks a lot different than what you have today. We designed the website with a mobile-first priority so that it is a responsive design and reflows depending on the size of the window or device that you are browsing the website on. We've managed to dynamically represent content like our news items, our calendar of events, next to the content that is most relevant for those topics. And we want to make sure front and center, even on the homepage here, that we have access to what you're here to hear from Maggie about a little bit later, is access to the customer portal section of the site where you'll be able to log in and conduct business there as well. I'm going to walk you through a couple of the key areas here under Energy and Services. Under Energy and Services is where we have our Tier 2 level content, where we have power services, much of the same content that you're used to seeing there today. including our BPA power contracts, the products and services that are offered, and some of the data and study information that we provide access to as well. Under transmission, we still have our classic doing business section with business practices, notices, and a number of the things that you're used to seeing, along with products and services, paralleling that same construct that we have under power services as well. Each one of these areas does have a landing page that if you were to click on would provide more detail information around that particular business function that we have, along with related news and events. So same with our energy efficiency section, where we have the sectors and offerings, the technology innovation, and policy and utility resources that we provide today. Another key area is the rate and tariff proceedings area, where all rate case information and current power rates and current transmission information can be found, as well as access to our current transmission tariff information that can also be found under transmission as well, under doing business. And then again, customers and contractor services, some of this may be of interest and more related to today's information, especially when it comes to the billing and payment information. This is information that Bonneville provides publicly to everyone and is a little different than the information that you would find in the customer portal that we'll show you here in a little bit. Under environmental initiatives is where you find our environment, fish, and wildlife information, as well as the sustainability efforts that Bonneville provides. Under environment, fish, and wildlife, we discuss and talk about our fish and wildlife program, provide all of the necessary documents around our environmental compliance, including our categorical exclusions and project reviews, where we publish information around the environmental impact statements and processes that Bonneville regularly conducts whenever there's a project that requires such a process. Under Learn and Participate, this is where folks have the ability to participate in public processes that Bonneville hosts. Under our public involvement and decisions is where you'll find our records of decision, our public comment page, as well as our event calendar, which I can show you here in just a second here. Our community engagement, we still provide educational materials to the region, and this is also where you will find information around our latest, one of our biggest kind of, I think, fun things that we host every year is our annual Science Bowl, which we just completed this past weekend. So we're also proud to host that as well. And then the many projects that are going on at Bonneville at any one time can be found under projects. Again, these are updated depending on the projects that are going forward, the current timeline that they're on. And again, any events or opportunity to comment would be available on these pages. Or if one was to go to either our event calendar or our public comment section, you would potentially be able to find every opportunity to engage with Bonneville, whether it be a public event or a public comment section. We're providing the event calendar in a list format like we do today, with the ability to filter by topic and search by keyword. We're also showing a calendar view and a monthly view here. That's a request that we have received for a while, and we're happy to say that we've been able to implement that here as we're cutting over to this new website later on this month. Our About section is pretty straightforward. The one item I would point out that is maybe a little different than what it was on our old site is that we have moved our financial information to be under the About tab. This is more consistent with the other PMAs and other utilities in our region. You can find the same information that you're used to finding here, especially when it comes to our quarterly reports, our quarterly review process, quarterly business review process, as well as our financial plan and IPR when we run that process as well, our integrated program review. So all of that information will be here when we cut over, just organized a little bit differently than what we had it as on the old site. We have an updated search that allows for more refinement and better fidelity in terms of being able to return relevant results. We have the ability to now configure our search so that if a particular term that we've designated as a high priority term is typed in, say like rate or rates, that we can highlight that search. We'll be continuously improving the search as it's used, as we'll have that intelligence of people using the search engine, and we'll be able to determine what is being searched for more so that we can continue to improve the search. So the more that it's used, the better it should become and more useful. And then finally,
Ryan,
again, yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, we've got a question related to this.
Sure.
Blake has a question. Can you show, for example, how to search or navigate and find the demand response is located on the website, where it is?
Demand response. Well, we can start by navigation, I suppose. Demand response, I believe, is under energy efficiency, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, energy efficiency, technology and innovation, and demand response.
There you go. And then Sandy has a question. Will there be an option to sign up for tech forum notifications?
Yes, we will still have that ability. That is under about. Oh, you guys are making me. I thought it was under about. Oh, contact us. Yes, under contact us. Let's see here. Page maybe hasn't loaded today. So we have a general contact us form, and we may need to relabel this now that I'm seeing it now here, but it's email opt-in. So if I click on email opt-in, this is where you would have the ability to opt into what we call our tech forum. And so you have the ability to opt in for those, as well as OASIS notifications as well. So now that I'm seeing this, we may want to relabel this so that we're more clear that this is how you would sign up for tech forum. Good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's see. I believe this follow up there with demand response. If we did search for demand response, the demand response is actually the first hit that we would get here in our search results. So I'm happy that we're seeing that right there. So that would be another way that you could get to our demand response page, and it's showing you here that it's under home, energy and services, energy efficiency, and then demand response. All right, in addition to the home page, where you could always access the customer portal, on every page up here, you'll see a little person icon that if you were to click on this, would give you, take you to the customer portal login page. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to toss to Maggie, who will talk about the customer portal, unless there are any other comments or questions about the public side of the website.
I don't see any more questions. Ryan, are you good if I pass presentation to Maggie?
Yes, please. That works. Thank you.
Alrighty. And Maggie, you have presentation.
Thank you, Deborah. Getting that screen share working right now. All right. Well, thank you for coming this afternoon. I truly appreciate it. Wanted to give a couple little quick notices. One, this is our Sandbox environment, so it is running a little bit slower than what we anticipate the production environment to be. So please keep that in mind when you guys are in the environment, that things are running a little bit slow just because it is the Sandbox environment itself. The second thing is we are aware that there has been some issues with users trying to log in to Customer Portal and getting a "you're not authorized" message, and we are working with our vendor to get that resolved. And we had an update at 11:30 this morning, and that should be resolved by tomorrow morning. And we can keep you posted, but I did want to give you that message that we are aware that there is a problem and that we are working to get that resolved. After you click on Login to CP and you input your username and your password, you will come to your dashboard, and this is what the dashboard looks like. Couple things when you are signing in. The first time that you sign in, you will be asked to read the entire terms of use and scroll down to the bottom to accept those. But then after that, any subsequent logins, all you have to do is click on the checkbox that says I agree to the terms of use, and then you would put in your password and you would come into the screen. This would be the dashboard. So we're going to walk through our entire navigation. Our navigation is on the left-hand side, and you can have it where it is open and you can see what all of the options are, or you can shrink that left navigation down and just show the icons. It's totally up to you as you log in. We're going to go ahead and just go through the entire navigation during this presentation. The first one is the dashboard. Here we have announcements. We've moved those up to the top. In the previous legacy system, those have been at the bottom. We've brought them up more prominent. Announcements that you would see here could be instances of when the system's going to be down for maintenance, as well as if the office, BPA offices are closed, but that Customer Portal will remain open, such as federal holidays where you guys might be working and our BPA offices are closed. We would be able to provide those announcements to you here so that you're aware that the response time to any emails or phone call questions that you have would be a delayed reply back. We also have the return or the existing new items, and this is going to be the last up to 10 items since your last login. So based on when you've logged in, it will show you the up to 10 items that have been added since you last logged in. You also have the ability here to contact us. It will take you to our contact page where you can click on our Customer Portal email, or it would also direct you to your account executive numbers and email addresses as well. And like Ryan explained, we now have the capability here that we have the upcoming events from the BPA.gov site. So it provides the two most current that are going to be coming up. And you can always click on that notice, and it will open up in a separate tab, and it gives you the date, time, and information of that meeting or event that you're looking for. The other option that you also have is that if you click on this See All Events, it will bring you up to that calendar that Ryan displayed earlier. As well, it gives you the options for a week view or by day view, also the list view. When I clicked on that on the dashboard, you notice that it did drop us over onto our left navigation into the BPA News and Events and the Event Calendar option. We also have the capability for Customer Portal to also post here when there might be a system outage. And so that information is now going to be in two places, here as well as in the announcements on the dashboard. Going back to the dashboard, we have our BPA's latest news as well. And this is also coming from BPA.gov. And again, you can click on the latest news and it would take you over to that page where it allows you to do that search functionality as well as the latest news that we have going on. That is our dashboard so far. Are there any questions?
No, at this time, no.
Great, thank you so much. The next item that we have on the left navigation is the billing. So if we click on the billing, there are two options in here. The first one will take you to the bills. This should look somewhat familiar. What you would have displayed here, because we are in the test environment, I have a test customer. What you would see here is your bills. There would be all 24 months or 2 years of bills listed in this area. On the right-hand side, you will see a PDF file icon, and you would click on that to allow you to download or print that bill. You can still filter by date range and by bill type if you have more than one type of bill that you are getting from BPA. You would then click on Apply Filter to show that, And then to reset and get all 24 months back, you would click on the Reset Filter button. We also have a section of a disclaimer, and that just lets you know that the bills page is updated on a nightly basis so that you're aware. The billing group decided that you guys, as users, want to have resources to the power rates or transmission rates links, and this takes you back over to the BPA.gov page to those two sections. And it shows a couple FAQ questions that if you click on the plus, it will then provide you the answer to those questions. Another nice feature that we have is billing contacts. Each one of the pages now has its own contact information. And if you click on that, it will give you some additional direction, such as contacting your revenue analyst for billing questions, or you can email the billing group directly at this email address. If you happen to have a direct revenue analyst that you work with and they have a check mark in the source system with that data and want that displayed on Customer Portal, it will show there instead. But we do have the default language that directs you to the billing group. The other section that we have, which is new, is disputes. This is right now designed just for transmission disputes. If you do have a power dispute, we ask that you look at your contract language for that process, but you can also contact your marketing account executive and they would be able to assist you with that. The transmission disputes is a form. So you would click on the dispute form. You would fill in this information. You would hit Submit Bill Dispute. You'll get an acknowledgement page saying thank you for the submission, and that will automatically get sent over to our transmission billing group in order to start their process for that dispute request that you have. The transmission dispute team also thought that you might need some additional resources, so they also provided the rates pages as well as the billing dispute procedure business practice for your ease to be able to click on that and get to that information quickly and easily. And again, they have a dispute contact tab as well, that allows you to contact Farah, and it provides her number and email address. Are there any questions with regards to the billing tab or page?
Maggie, I'll just ask you to confirm this. Kyle asked, is there a place where EIGI details supporting bills will be published? And I answered in the Q&A that they'll be incorporated into the bill itself. Do you want to add anything to that?
Not at this time. My understanding is that they are going to be incorporated into the bill itself. That would be a question that we can take back to confirm with the billing team. But last I heard that is what they will be doing, is incorporating that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Will you make sure that we get last name so that we can get back to follow up?
Yes, it's in the chat that we're saving.
Great, thank you.
Or Q&A rather, sorry.
Okay, the next tab that we have is the MDMR2 tab or metering tab. Just a quick disclaimer on this. The meter profile, raw meter interval amounts, complex meter interval amounts, meter events, and scheduled reports are going to be in-depth conversation with Mallory Ray, who is our subject matter expert on those. And that discussion will happen right after our presentation of AEP. And so please stay tuned for that, but I'm not going to mention those. I was going to let Mallory do the honors, but I will talk about the metering resources and the meter diagrams. So first, meter resources. This is going to be a section, either customer-specific resources or general resources, and this is where you'll be able to access those. Things that would be in this area would be the metering manual under general resources, or if the metering team has any Excel template documents that they need to share with you to help enhance your interaction with the metering team. And so those are going to be located under the metering resources area. And again, we do have a metering resource contacts, which gives you the generic metering group as well as their phone number if you have questions or need assistance. And then the meter diagrams. The meter diagrams is the section that will hold the one-line diagrams for your account. And it also has the meter diagram contacts, and it would be your customer service engineer would be displayed here. And again, on the right-hand side would be the PDF to that document. We do have a disclaimer as well as FAQs on this section as well. Are there any questions with regards to just those two things in the metering area?
No, I've got questions about passwords and login, but I think you'll get to that.
Okay. Through our customer portal team and the analytics that we have, we at the time figured that billing and metering were the two most popular areas that have been accessed in customer portal. So what we did for new customer portal is we put those on the main navigation so that they're going to be a lot easier to locate and less clicks to get to what you're looking for. With that, everything else that is on customer portal is going to be under services. And those services include contracts, EIM, energy efficiency, forecasting, both load and resource, NERC compliance, and nomograms. And I'll go through each one of these, but I did want to let you know that we do have the capability that after we do additional analytics and monitoring the system, if something is accessed more, we're able to switch those out to make it easier for you as the customer to be able to get to what you're looking for quickly. So let's go into contracts. So contracts, we're really excited about, hopefully making it a lot easier to see what you have and how it is, all the pieces to that contract. So in finding the contract, you can put in just a portion of a contract number. You can put in all 5 digits of the contract number, the alpha of a contract number, and clicking on the apply filter, it will produce those results. And then to clear out that, you would hit your reset filter. This is all of your currently executed contracts will be displayed here. We do not display or produce on customer portal the expired contracts. If that's something that you're looking for, you can contact your account executive or the contract contacts for that information. But we only currently are displaying executed contracts. So what will happen here is you do on all of these tables have the ability to sort them. But on the right-hand side, if you saw a PDF document here, then that is just telling you that that is the only thing with that contract is just the original contract itself. But if you saw a blue arrow here, what that is telling you is that there is something more to that contract. There is either an amendment, an exhibit or exhibit table that is also attached to this contract. And when you would click on that blue arrow, it would take you to another screen to let you know that, and it would give you the PDF documents for every single one of those additional actions. We're hoping that that makes it a lot easier than what we've had so far, where it was questionable on if there was anything more attached to that actual physical contract. You also will have the capability to have a selection here where you'll be able to download more than one contract at a time. We also have a disclaimer and FAQs. Is there any questions with regards to contracts?
I have not seen any questions for contracts.
Great. I'm going to skip over EIM at the moment and go to energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is in the process of getting their own new system called BEATS. That is the BPA Energy Efficiency Tracking System. So at this time, because BEATS is not yet live, we are just providing a link back to Legacy CP, and that will be what is needed to submit your energy efficiency invoices, so that EE only access. You will have to go back into Legacy CP with your existing logon and password in order to do so. Then going forward, after BEATS has gone live, we will provide the link over to the BEATS system, because that's where in the future you will be putting in your BPA, I'm sorry, not your BPA, you'll be putting in your energy efficiency invoices for submittal for payment. They also have some resources, just an easy back to BPA.gov section to provide you the information that you're looking for. And then also a couple other additional locations on the BPA.gov side to make your energy efficiency references easier to capture.
Maggie?
Yes.
I do have one question for contracts that has come in. Will we see contracts for dark fiber leases?
You will only see fiber contracts if you have that permission to do so. So a standard user is a user that can see all of this information, with the exception of the fiber contracts. You have to have an add-on permission to be able to view those. You also have to have an add-on permission for submitting forecast data and an add-on permission in order to see the nomograms data. And I can go into more detail about that in just a moment. All right, well, let's jump over to forecasting, and then I can explain this add-on role here as well. Load forecast and resource forecast are the same in the sense of how they look and feel. So I'll just show you load forecast to start with, and then on your own time, try that again. And then on your own time, you'll be able to look at the resource forecast information. I apologize for this. 1 second. Sorry about that. Let's go back over to forecasting information. By default, well, first of all, we have the forecast contacts, but by default, the point of delivery filter is all and the display series is energy, and that is referring to this graph. You can have a selection of the graph and click on that, and it will enhance to that section. In order to reset that graph, all you have to do is click on the button, and it will bring it back to show all 10 years. You also have the ability here to select another type of display series, and then click on Apply Filters, and it will change this graph. again, you have the ability to expand and reset that graph. All the data is listed below the graph itself. And if you scroll down, you do have the ability to export that to Excel. We also have a disclaimer here as well. And then what I was just mentioning about having the additional add-on permission, if you have the capability to submit load forecast data, you will see this blue box. If you don't have this permission, this blue box will not be here. But when you do click on submit load forecast, you will get the option to either enter it into a table, such as the one above, or you can upload an Excel document into the system. Once you hit submit load forecast, you will get a thank you for submittal, and the load forecast analyst will be able to get a notification that you have submitted something for them to go in and review. There's also an FAQ section here as well. For forecast information, it shows 3 of the load forecast FAQs. But if you do click on see more frequently asked questions, it does take you over to our help section. And if you scroll down for load forecast, you see that there are several more questions here that might be able to answer your questions. NERC compliance is similar to our metering resources, where there is a section for general documents, as well as if there were any specific customer documentation here. And they also have their own compliance contacts, as well as resources. Nomograms is the other item that we have as an add-on permission. If you don't have that permission, you would not see the nomograms listed here. But if you did, it would bring you to this screen. We do have our nomograms contacts. And at this time, nomograms is also going into a new system. So in order to see nomograms going forward, you'll have to go back to the legacy CP system until the nomogram system is actually in production, and then we will have the linked information there. We don't know at this time if it's going to be a table of information or if it's going to be documents that you click on and open. But either way, when Nomograms goes live with their new system, that data will be displayed here. But until then, we have you going back to legacy CP. Again, it is its own logon and password that you need to provide there. We have the SOC disclaimer, as well as they had some resources as well. Now let's talk about EIM. EIM, this is a placeholder. Obviously, we are not in that market at this point in time. This is for the settlement data, the backup settlement data that is going to be provided. And obviously, nothing would be showing here until those charges started to come through. And then we also have a placeholder for resources if they have any. And then we've just provided some of the generic FAQs for EIM of what is it, why join it, and the benefits. So this is right now just a placeholder. And again, it's just for the settlements backup data at this time. And we also have the EIM contacts where you would be able to contact their staff if you had questions. Are there any questions with regards to any of the services that I've gone through?
Maggie, I don't see any at this time.
Great. You're waiting for all at the end, I can tell. We've gone through the BPA news and events. Again, if you just click on the event calendar, it will bring up by default the calendar view, but you can change that to the list view as well as a week or day view. And by clicking on them, you are able to get the detailed information about that event. And the date is got a little bit of a color coded so that you remember what day it is, because sometimes it's a little difficult to know, and it's giving that option for you. Our BPA news, again, is bringing us back into the BPA.gov site, and it is allowing you to do the filtering or the keyword search, as Ryan showed previously. We also have account contacts. As I've been pointing out on the pages, each of these pages had their own Contact Us section. This allows for this Contact Us to show you your account executives with their name, phone number, and email address, as well as links to being able to contact Customer Portal support directly. And any other role on your team, BPA team, would be displayed here if it was not one of these other specific roles. Revenue analyst would always be in the billing section. It would not show here. Metering analyst would always be in metering and not show here, but your account executives, it will make it easier to find them, and that you would have them at your disposal by clicking right onto account contacts. We also have the help button, and again, I pointed this out. This is where we'll have our training documents and our FAQs. So here is where we will post these recordings, as well as here is a complete list of all of the FAQs for each section of Customer Portal. There is one final area to talk about, and it's actually up here in the where it says Expedition Power. That, of course, is our training environment or our training account. But what happens is you could be authorized to see more than one customer account. And so here you would have the ability to switch customers and move between customers. And this reminds you just who you're in, which account you are in. But everybody has access to this manage account, and only customer CP admins will be able to view this manage users. And then, of course, the famous logout button. So if we go to the manage account information, this is just providing you the legal name that we have on file for you, as well as your web address and your email and your business phone. And it also now provides the ability to opt into those distribution lists that Ryan showed earlier, including the tech forum. Also in this area, because I'm logged in as an admin at this moment in time, I don't have this capability, but this is where you would be able to sign up for your alerts. And those alerts could include, based on your permissions, getting notified via email if a new bill has been added to the system, or if a new nomogram has been posted if you have that permission, or if a new contract has been added. Those alerts are in this section, and you would just do a check mark to which ones you wanted to sign up for to be alerted and hit save, and then those would be there and you would see them all the time. And you're able to make changes to those at any point in time. But if we click on see more customer information, here you would see the company's primary mailing address and primary street address. You would also see a listing of the users that have access to the account. This would tell you, currently test accounts would tell you if they were a user or if they were your customer admin. Were there any questions?
Well, we had some earlier questions about permissions and things that I answered online.
Okay.
So I think we've got those covered. Haven't seen.
Well, let's answer them out loud just so that we'll be able to make sure everybody heard them. So what was the first one?
Well, let me back up. The most recent question that just dropped in: will alerts from the current system forward to this new system, or do we need to sign up all over again?
No, we are asking that you sign up for the alerts in the new system and not from the old system. Some of you might know or have recalled or been part of the fact that sometimes the alerts weren't working, and we had to go through a weird process to try to get those to work for you. So we don't want to bring over that that error in data, and so we're asking that you just reassign to the alerts. There are also probably going to be a couple new ones that weren't there before, so we ask that you sign up for them.
Okay, an earlier question, if we require access to the customer portal for several customers, like in a team site currently, how will we be able to navigate between the different customers? And I advised it will be a list. When they log in, they'll see a list of accounts.
That is true. Let me show you what that would look like. If you were authorized for more than one account and access to one account, more than one account, when you log in, instead of going directly to a dashboard, you would get an option to select which customer you're looking for. And you can use the company filter also to find that account by just typing in some of the word and hitting enter. Then you would click on the account choice that you had. The
okay.
Permission, okay.
Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
The permission base, there's actually three types of permissions that are available. One is the customer CP admin. That can only be set up or created by the BPA's customer portal team. And then that person has the response, or people, we can have up to two. That person is then responsible for adding any and all users to that site, your own customer specific site, and managing those users and the permission levels that they have. And those permission levels, that's the one of them. The other one is an authorized user, which again has the ability to view all of the information that I've just showed today. And it has three add-on roles that enhance the current view. That would be the view fiber contracts. That would also be the submitting the load forecast data, or being able to view the nomograms. And then the last permission that we have is the MDMR2 only user, which has only the ability to view the meter profile, raw meter interval amounts, complex meter interval amounts, meter events, and scheduled reports. So when they would log in, the only thing that they would see besides the dashboard would be these events. They would not be able to view billing. They would not be able to view meter diagrams, and they would not be able to view the services section at all. Those are the three permissions in Customer Portal going forward. Sorry, Deborah.
Okay. Will the website move over to the existing URL, or will there be a new one? And I said the new URL to access, we will share that closer to the production release.
Yes, we will have a new URL for Customer Portal, and we will be able to announce that on February 28th, which is Monday. We will be taking existing Customer Portal down, as well as BPA.gov on Friday, February 25th at 6 p.m. in order to do this changeover. And then we will have an announcement on BPA.gov on the 28th, announcing that URL, as well as the fact that it is now up and running.
Okay, and then will they have to reset their password every 90 days, or will they be able to reset their password themselves? And I said, yes.
Yes, password resets will be up to you, the individual user. You can do that by either clicking on Forgot Password when you try to log in, or you can actually go into your Manage Account. You would have see more customer information. Nope, I'm sorry. I'm an admin, so I don't get that capability. But when you go into Manage Account, it shows who you are, as well as your permissions and roles. And then you have the ability right there to click on Reset Password. So you have it via I forgot it, or I know it and I'm in, but I want to change it. And you have that capability to do so. Your CP admin also has the capability to reset your password as well. And you asked about the 90-day rule. At this moment in time, we have a longer password requirement, and so that should, by default, be able to, because it's a longer password, which has higher security, you should not have to redo your password every 90 days. But it will be a longer password requirement.
Okay, and then the last question, will this affect the setup of any automated MDMR2 reports? And I think Mallory will cover that.
Mallory will cover that one when she talks about the metering reports themselves.
And that's all I see, all we've got for now.
I did confirm with Ryan on Lisa's question about the URLs and transmission, specifically the business/operations/paths. And Ryan did confirm that that URL is not going to change, and all of the information underneath it will stay the same. So that is to get back to Lisa's question.
Great. Thank you, Tara.
Okay, Maggie, that's all I see right now. Shall we pass to Mallory?
Give them one more opportunity. Any last questions with regards to Customer Portal? I'm sure it was a lot of information in a short period of time. So just wanting to make sure that we are able to answer all your questions. Obviously, if you do have questions after the fact, you can email Customer Portal at BPA.gov and we'll be able to get those answers for you. But while we have you and you have our undivided attention, wanted to make sure that we were able to answer all your questions.
And to Michelle's question, yes, we are recording this, and yes, it will be available later.
Yes.
And I think we're going to try to put those out on the BPA training YouTube site. So I think that's where they're going to be posted at, is the BPA training YouTube site.
Great. Thank you. No last questions? All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to turn over the presentation over to Mallory.
Okay, afternoon, everyone. There is a construction crew across the street from my house. They seem to have quieted down, but if you hear background noise, that's what it is, and I can't help it. Okay, so I see a number of customers on, plus some BPA internal, just like this morning. So what I'm going to show in 2 seconds is kind of BPA specific, but then the rest is the same across the board. It doesn't matter what user you are, it's exactly the same. For BPA, when you log in or when you access MDMR2 right now, we all use this kind of one BPA site where we can search across any customers and see all the inner workings and relationships and all that in one screen. In the new world, we don't necessarily have that so obvious anymore. What we do have is when you log in, you will be able to see a list of every single customer portal site that is set up. And when you click to dive into one, so I'll just pick Alder because that's at the top. When you click to dive into any single one of these, you can search across all the customers from there. It's not going to limit you as a BPA employee to Alder. So it doesn't matter what you pick, just pick one, just pick whatever's on top, and you can search from there just like you always would. So going through the list here, when we transferred over our meter data collections or meter data management, kind of every other system we had, effective November 9th, we went live with what you are currently seeing in MDMR2 right now, which is kind of we're calling it our interim solution. We had to do this because our prior MDMR2 was really customized to mesh with our old system and could absolutely not hack it to send or to work with this system. To voicemail. So we're calling it our interim solution. What we were able to do is make sure, since we got one chance to kind of redo some of the UI, we went ahead and changed all the labels, the reporting, the formats, the features that were going to be in the new MDMR2, so that you kind of got a chance to acclimate to it over time. So everything that is showing up on the current MDMR2 right now is also showing up in the new world. In case some of you haven't been into MDMR2 in a while, I know some people won't even access it quarterly. Let's just kind of go through these to get level set. So metering resources, this is just going to be our like metering library you see now when you log in. Has our announcements, our macros, user guides, that kind of stuff. So that's under the resources. Meter profile, same as it's always been. Our raw meter amounts used to be called meter usage. We've gotten a number of emails saying meter usage is not available anymore. It's raw meter amounts. The customer to meter usage is now the complex. And again, it's what the MDMR2 site shows currently, just in case. It's now the complex. Meter events is the same, diagrams is the same, and then scheduled reports is the brand new thing we will be talking about most heavily at the end. Popping into meter profile. So this is a site where I don't know how many people use this, but this is a site where you can see all the information kind of about your customer. So I'm just going to type in Albion and click enter. If you are logging in as Alder in this case, this would pre-populate with all the Alder line items down here. So this is going to tell you, depending on which report you pick, what the profile information is for your selected line item. It's going to give you the billing information, contract details, like multiplier information, district, all sorts of good stuff. It's basically everything that would kind of go into the contract, plus a little more elaborate. If you pick one line item here, you can run a historical report, and this will show you the changes over time per category. And then if you select more than one, you can only run the current report. And so it's just going to be a nice Excel layout of what the information as it currently stands. So one report or one line item gets you history, one or more gets you the current. When you use the current MDMR2 site and you go to run a report, it's always going to pop it into new tabs at the top. I don't know how many people like that. I personally do. But in this new state, it's going to take over this specific tab every time you run a report. So for folks like me, I think it's really important to start getting in the habit of doing the control and then click. So control and click opens a new tab, and then your report would show up here. And that way you could run a whole bunch of reports at once. It's all up top without impacting the parameters you have set up on the screen. So start getting in the habit of that if the tabbed out feature is something you rely on. Down here, there's a button that says schedule this report. So this is going to be on every single tab. And basically it means that anything you can do on this UI, you can set up a report to auto send you the same information on a date range and frequency of your choosing. And this is our way to approach like an API or a secure FTP site. We don't have those options necessarily. So this is our workaround for that. So this is those who do the scraping, the URL scraping. This will be important to you as we get into this later on. And then those who have emails auto sent to them, this will be the same feature. Again, anything you do on the UI, we can replicate and you can have it auto sent to you. All the filters, like Maggie showed earlier, work the same. If I type in Albion, I'll get up all of Albion. If I type in like TX, it'll filter by TX. So all that works exactly the same as it does now. It's just a new look and feel. Any questions about that? Okay. Let's move down to raw meter interval amounts. So the raw screen is going to give you the basic KW, KVAR data for the meter point to select. The raw screen doesn't care about losses. It doesn't care about customer associations, billing impacts, anything like that. It's just, this is meter 1, 2, 3, and these are the reads. If you are in under your customer at the bottom, which it's not showing up, we wrote that down this morning, it should show a list of all the meter points for Alder available to select pre-populated. And again, if you're BPA, you would just look up a meter, 1, 2, 3, click search, and that will show up down here. For those of you who are more used to putting in a comma delimited list on the raw usage site, you still can. You would just click the bulk import numbers, pop in your list here, click import, and it would just put your comma delimited list here, bring all your meters down here. So very, very similar to how it works now. You just have to take one little extra step, then you can put in your list and you are good to go. Going back up to the top, let's just run through the parameters just so we are all on the same page. So the report versions, just like now, we have intervals down, across, and peaks and totals. These used to be named really funky long names. So we shored them down to what we all normally call them. So if you're missing a report, it's in the exact same order it used to be. So it's just down, across, and totals. For the start date, we are resetting when we go into this new world where all of our data is going to start effective 1/1/2013. How it works right now is the raw screen goes back further, the complex screen goes back not as far, and there's just a lot of different rules to consider depending on the data type. So we said 1/1/2013 and forward, it's a clean cutoff date, it's when we have consistency and everything, let's move forward with that. If you try to go prior to 1/1/2013, it won't let you, it'll warn you. And if you really need data prior to that, we do have it. It might take a little effort for us to get it, but it will. We can get it for you. For versions, we have current, prior, and show both. So current is just whatever it is today. Prior is basically the distinction is if I make an edit to the data or not. It's not a new version has come in like a new update from the meter. It's have I done an edit essentially. So we don't store at this point original in a way that MDMR2 can pull it. And it turns out we never did. And I didn't know that until we kind of started going down this rabbit hole. So we've always only shown the current and whatever the prior to that current version is. So that's kind of a bit of a difference in labeling and making things more clear for this iteration. So just keep that in mind. For units of measure, KW, KVAR, and both, just like now. For interval length, one thing we added recently was the ability to cut everything into 5 minutes. So we've always had 60, 30, 15, and as metered, but 5 minutes specifically is new, effective this November. So especially for the EIM folks out there, you can now cut it all to 5, even if it's not. Keep in mind that if you pick as metered and you have, let's say, 10 meter points that are at 60 minutes and 1 meter point that is at 15 minutes, when you click as metered, it's going to chop everything to the lowest interval length in your group. So if you do as metered and you think your data looks a little weird, it's probably because it's a mixing interval length and it's going down to the lowest value. And then we have the summary section. We have always been able to show or hide the total, but now we can get rid of the header, which I really don't like the header. So now that I can get rid of it, this takes, the header takes up a lot of space in my opinion. So now you can ditch it and the Excel or CSV will start clean at the top. So you can do that now. And then, yeah, when you're all set, you just run your report. Again, if you click Control, it'll open your report in a new tab if you are used to that. And if you do not, it will kind of take over your parameter section here and will display here. All the report downloads are exactly the same formats, same types, CSV, XML, anything you can do now, you can do in the future. Again, it's on here, it's just really a new look and feel with a couple of little extras. Any questions about the raw meter screen?
I have not seen any questions, Mallory.
Okay. Let's move on to complex. So this is a screen that gets a little more elaborate. This is where, again, if you are Alder, you should be able to scroll down here and see all the Alder line items. If you're BPA, you can search on everything. So this is a screen where you can add losses, billing direction, TRL. You can sum up things. You can do all sorts of nonsense. Whatever you want to do, you would do on this screen. Same report version, intervals down across the totals. Same start date, 1/1/2013 is the earliest we can go. And I believe that's all done now. We were backloading our data warehouse like 1 year a week. And I believe it is all done back to 2013. For display by, this came up in our demo this morning. This is available on the current state, but it's just kind of hidden. So display by, if I click meter point, and that's just the default, that's just going to be the reports that you normally get with each meter in its own column or row. If I pick delivery point, it's going to sum things by your delivery point or your POD. So if you want maybe a POD total, this is what you would do here versus exporting it by meter point and adding it on your own. And then account number is just going to sum it up by account. In all situations, this will always separate it by contract number because we don't want a case where you have pulled your account number data, maybe your total peaks with billing direction applied for the month of January, and you don't want to see that data doubled, like trying to match transmission and power together. So it'll always keep it separated by contract. That way there's no confusion about kind of what you're seeing in your end result. Units and measure at the same.
We've got,
yeah.
Sorry, you've got a question. Is temperature data no longer available?
Correct. Temperature data is no longer available. We couldn't even figure out how that was happening. There was kind of a spot, oh, there's my Q&A. There was kind of a spot where we would maybe make some updates, but that was never something we did. So we were always kind of uncertain how that was even getting in our system, and it wasn't something the new situation would offer. For the reports, I don't want to pull something, well, I'll just do it. I don't have anything selected. I don't want to pull something because I don't have a test account with this, but it would just pull a report like this, but a usage report. If I start pulling Albion's data, I'm going to get in trouble. But looking at this one, I think this is all fine. You would just, like the normal site now, you would just click the little save guy, download it into whatever format you want, and go on from there. And again, same formats. I know we all had to change our formats effective November 9th. So it's the exact same formats we've all adapted to. So there's no need to redo any macros again or anything like that. Most people have already made that changeover. Cruising down the list, so Loft Adjuster, so you can say with losses, without, or both, just like you can now. We've talked about version, the same situation. Apply direction, so you can do no by default or none. And then you can apply billing direction or total retail load direction. If you pick direction, again, this is how it works now, but just to make sure we're on the same page. If you pick direction, you pick billing. If the billing direction is not counted, the reports will zero out that data. It won't remove that row or column. It'll actually just zero it out. It'll zero it out. If it's positive, it makes it positive. If it's negative, it times the data by -1. So if you have negative data, it makes it positive. So that's how that works, and total retail load. For the BPA folks on, in particular, total retail load is limited to a very specific lockdown list of customer account number and contract number. That's because we ran into situations years ago where you would have one customer and maybe somebody would update the TRL for the transmission contract, but not the power, or maybe would forget to do one side, do them both, but they wouldn't match. And it got really messy. So we have a lockdown list, and we just picked the transmission side just because, no rhyme or reason. So if you have TRL load as a customer, or you are looking for that as a BPA user, use the transmission contract. If you pull up the power one, it's just going to show you 0 because it's not counted for TRL on that power side. So that was just a decision we made years ago to keep the data in sync. So if you are interested more on that, I have a process document that is all about how to pull TRL from MDMR2. Interval length, same situation. You can now cut it to 5 minutes. Summary, display total, yes or no, display header, yes or no. And then the latest really big feature, again, it's on the current site, but a little more prominent now, is our additional sources. So in the old world, if we had a meter, and that meter had a SCADA match and it had a B meter, in order to look at all that data kind of in one screen and get it out to MDMR2, we had to assign each a meter point number. So I'm just going to pull up that one. That's wrong. So, okay, 1 second. Hold on.
Mallory, while you're doing that, real quick, I just want to remind everybody that this is the Sandbox environment. So the changes that you might be making here in the Sandbox environment, they're not going to be put over into the production environment. So just keeping that in mind, anything that is done here in the Sandbox environment is not automatically being published into the production environment when we go live.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. Okay, so Bandon out. So if I had Bandon does have a SCADA match for us. So I would have to know that 1150 is my MD90 meter, and meter like 3700 is my SCADA, and maybe meter 82 is our B meter. And so in metering in particular, we had these little crosswalks everywhere of how to find backup data for things. In our new system, it is considered, 1150 is considered a location. And underneath each location, you can have as many additional sources as you would like. So the default kind of by everything is MD90. So MD90 would be an additional source. We would have a SCADA source for 1150, a B meter source for 1150. And so we're able to organize it more efficiently under that individual location, which makes a lot of sense. So if you are used to seeing maybe SCADA meters on top of regular meters in your view, and you are not seeing them, that's probably why. They've been reorganized and repackaged under as additional sources under the real location they are matched with. We have a waterfall methodology behind the scenes with MD90 on top that says if you are a location and you have an MD90 source, then you are automatically the primary. You're the one that shows up when I run an MDMR2 report. If we have no MD90 and the meter itself just is SCADA or it just is an ICCP meter, that's all we have for it. You don't have to know that and click SCADA or click ICCP to make sure you get the data. It's just because that's considered the next step. There's no MD90, so now my primary source is SCADA or it is ICCP. So this is only if you want to see if there's an extra situation going on. No need to remember any crosswalks or anything like that. So to get it, you would just uncheck the none and check SCADA. You can select them all at once. There is no harm in selecting these. If we have it, it shows up. If we don't, it doesn't. If you select SCADA and the primary source of your meter is SCADA, you're just going to get it twice. So you can mess around with these. We have our list of all the matches if you were interested in knowing if we had a match for your sites. We don't have a ton of matches, and that's something that will grow over time. And really, it was mainly because we didn't have a good way to organize this information. Now it's very cut and dry for us, which is awesome. B meters, we have very few of. I think it's only 2 utilities, pretty much. But SCADA and ICCP are the ones we're going to try to grow. For WIT original and WIT shaped, so WIT's the hourly checked out value by the adjacent BAs for scheduling. If you are a BPA adjacent BA for EIM, you will have WIT information already showing up in your screen. And it's going to be an 8000 series meter, and it's going to be like EIM, adjacent BA, pack. So you'll already see that information. For the WIT original, this is going to be the hourly checked out value for that overall site. And then the WIT shaped is what we are actually using for that shape, I can't talk now, for that site for our EIM submissions. So for the WIT shaped is the WIT original shaped against the SCADA for that site, and then the output is the WIT shaped. The output for these is also the primary source, so I don't actually think there's a reason to click WIT shaped the more I think about it, but that's what these two are referring to.
Okay, Mallory. A quick question. Shouldn't the raw meter interval report and complex meter interval report provide the same data if the same inputs, i.e. report options, are used?
If the same options are used, so if I did a raw meter interval report and I selected, 3 meters, and then I did this report, left everything at default, and said without losses, then it should provide the same information. If it doesn't, it could be that the reports are just updating from especially quote unquote yesterday. But if you are seeing it doesn't, please let us know immediately. So let's take a step back really quick. Obviously, there have been some reporting issues the past few months. What ended up happening is when we went live with all this, all of our scheduled reports, everything was working pretty good. And then we all started EIM testing. And all of a sudden, more and more people needed 45 rolling days worth of 5-minute data for a huge amount of meter points on an hourly basis. And most of our meters aren't necessarily 5 minutes, and the reports have to do all these calculations and all that stuff. And because of all those requests, and they were internally too, it just broke everything. It was just too much. So what has been happening the past 2 months is our data warehouse has been totally reformatted, and it actually stores everything at 5 minutes. So like the hardest calculation it could do is already done. So with that done, some of the reports still weren't updating. We realized we weren't getting data from our collections software completely and or on time, especially culminating in February 1st, which I kind of thought was going to be the turning point, but it was not. Since that issue happened, it really brought everything to light, and basically at this point, our collections and management vendors, along with our upper management, have, I don't think they're daily anymore, but they are every other day, hour-and-a-half meetings. And we just pour through examples, code, anything to figure out what the root cause is. They found, I think, kind of the red herring last week. We did a big analysis today, and we only had 3 gaps that should have already been filled. 3, like out of the entire system, which was great. The focus is kind of shifting to reports. The reports are doing much better. Because of the issue on 2.1, they figured out why they weren't getting updated. I think some restriction on last modified date or something like that. So with that change made, they're working significantly better. But anytime somebody reports an issue, we are taking it immediately to our vendor. So I know how everybody else relies on data, but what you all probably don't understand as well is in metering, we can't do our jobs without those reports. We are completely dead in the water. So it is absolutely critical for us as well that those reports are working and they are, we can trust them, because we're having to do some extra workarounds right now just to make sure everything's updated. So it is the backbone of our entire operation. So if you see something that is wrong, please send us an email, please. Right now, the reports only update every 3 hours or so, kind of focusing more on quality versus speed. And as we make sure that everything has settled out, then we will get that down to hourly. When we start to talk about the scheduled reports, keep in mind that our morning calls to get the data from our MB90 meters, that's between about 2 and 6 in the morning. So if you are getting a report at 5:30 in the morning and you are missing data for yesterday, it could be that we haven't called your meter yet. It could be that the system tried and failed. And then when our folks get in the office, they try everything that failed one more time and maybe it worked. So I always kind of recommend you get a report that's more, not just yesterday, but like a rolling 7, rolling 45, just to capture anything that might have been missed the day it was ran. And if you can do it, push your reports. Maybe get it sent to you at 7 or go in here, or 7, 9. Maybe go in here and manually run it at 9, just to make sure everything has caught up with what it's going to be that day. Again, we will get it down to hourly, but I'm less focused on frequency, and I just want them to be right at a time that I can rely on. That was a tangent, but I hope that helps. Any questions before I move to meter events? And then we'll get to the really good stuff.
Okay. Don't see any more questions for you, Mallory.
Okay. Meter events, same as it is now. You can go back. There's no date restrictions. We have some events going back to the 80s when the meter was first installed. You can show all events, open events only or closed. You can show your header or not. Just like on the current site, you can select account, and if you are under Alder, it should just show up as Alder. If you are a BPA user, you can put in a list or select an account. And then if you want to search specifically by meter point, you can click the meter point and do the same. I'm not certain how many people pull meter events, but in case you're unaware of them, anytime we in metering see an anomaly or receive an outage and load shift report, energization, removal, or maintenance report from the field, or we have to make an edit to the data, all that is considered an event. We put it in our meter data management system, and all of that is available to everybody in the events tab. If you see data that is purple in your interval reports or blue, depending on your screen, that's because the data has been edited by us in metering. Maybe it was missing and we filled it in from our source system. Maybe it was just flat out missing and it's kind of an estimate, but that's the final value. That requires an event for sure. So you should be able to come in here, look up your meter point, look up the date range that something happened, make sure to click all. It's likely closed out if the edit has taken place, and then you can run your report and see what was going on. Anytime, I know a number of you on the call get research requests from us. So anytime we visually see any kind of anomaly that we can't explain away, like if meters always shift from one to the other, we have a history of certain drops in load given like certain seasons. We might put an event in that says like a parent load shift, this meter to this meter. But anytime we are sending those research requests, it's because we want to make sure that data is correct. And then we actually make an event for it. Say so-and-so said drop in load is accurate due to a power outage. So we document everything. When we moved over into the new system, we didn't bring a bunch of meters with us, like things that ended maybe in the early 2000s. There was a definite cutoff date of things we were bringing into the new world. And so with that, we needed to research all of our events from the past and see if we needed to bring all of those into the new world too. So we got it down to about 300,000, and it was a lot higher. So I think in the next 2 weeks, we're going to backfill all of the events into our management system, and then that will be available to you here. The only events that are in the system now is anything that was open at the time of our cutover and has been added since. So if you're looking for anything for the past couple months, it should all be in there. So again, if you want to mess around with this, you can just mess around on the meter event screen in the current MDMR2 or on the Sandbox once you get your credentials, but it's all the same that it is here. That's going to take forever, so I'm just going to move on. Any questions about meter events before we move on to scheduled reports?
Mallory, I do not see any.
Okay. Okay, so there are about 350 to 400 scheduled reports set up right now across all customers. A scheduled report, again, is just our workaround to not being able to provide an API or an FTP site. There are two options. You can have a report emailed to you, or you can have access to a URL that you currently would go out and have a script, auto log in through your script into Customer Portal and pull down that file. In the new world, we are going to be asking everyone to redo all those reports so that you are the owners. That way, one, you don't have to contact me every time you want to add a new meter or something is wrong and maybe I'm out of the office. These are all under my name currently because it's a Power BI feature, and if everybody has ability to add or edit them, then we can't keep track of how many there are and can't pinpoint maybe a system-wide issue. So that's why you have to contact me. Anybody who has an email report at the go live, the last day of February, you don't have to worry about anything. Your email is going to keep coming to you just fine. And probably a couple weeks after go live, I'm going to start reaching out and making sure that you redo it on your end and I can turn my end off. The emailed schedule reports are working, and I'll go through it in a second, but they're just arriving about 15 hours too late. The goal is that if you put in, I want my report to start at 8:30, it really should be in your inbox by 9, like a half an hour at the most. So 15 hours is not good. So that's why we are keeping all of the emails as they are. Any of you who have the URL scraping, there is no way I can actually keep that going because the customer portal site that you pulled that from will not exist anymore. So there is no workaround. The only workaround is the day customer AEP, this goes live, for you to log in and set up your report under your account like that second, and then it will start working from then on. Or if you really just want to avoid that and you want to kind of tackle that hurdle later on, you can email me and just say, turn my report into an email. And I will just click that button and we can just deal with it another time. So it's really up to you if you want to attempt to do this on Monday the 28th. Keep in mind that about 6 months ago, I scheduled a 2-week vacation and it just happened to start Friday and it lasts for 2 weeks. I will be logging in off and on, but yeah, there will be some other people in metering to help out. But yeah, if you just want to avoid any headaches with the automated reports, let's just change it to an email and we will get to it later. If I see this next week for all the URL folks, I will be reaching out to you to just double check. If you do not hear from me by, I don't know, I guess Friday, so I'll be checking in later next week. Please email me. I don't know if I have all the correct emails for everybody, and I know roles have changed. A lot of the emails I have are more for the technical IT contacts that have set up these reports for the URL ones. So if you have not heard from me in the next few days, please send me an email letting me know what you want to do. So let's walk through how to set it up. Again, if you have an email, don't even worry about this for now. So if I'm on the screen, the first thing I'm going to do is just set up whatever it is I want. So let's say I want intervals across and I want it by meter point. If you want to recreate a rolling time period, like kind of the date ranges you have now, don't worry about the dates. And this is all in our user guide too, but just don't worry about the dates. If you really specifically want to keep getting July 2021 over and over, you can put July 2021 in here, and on the next screen I'll show you, it'll say, do you want a range or do you want your configured dates? Anything you do as well,
Mallory?
you can just change.
I'm sorry. Jeff asked, will it be obvious how to find the URL for the reports that we create, the ones that we're automating?
Yep, exactly. Yes, it will. I'll show you that in a second. You get all your details, however it is you want it, whatever you got going on. Maybe I want SCADA too. And no header. I'm just going to put, who have I used? I'll use Springfield. I have to pick something. Okay, I'm just going to say Springfield transmission contract because I don't want to double up. Okay, so at Springfield, I got some stuff going on down there. I have all my parameters exactly as I want them. I'm going to scroll down, and instead of saying run current report, I'm going to say schedule this report. What did I, okay. That's thinking. Then it's going to take me here. First thing I'm going to do is, what's my bookmark name? If you have multiple reports, this really comes in handy. Seeing as how I manage all of them on the back end, this bookmark name is really critical. So if you have maybe the same meter over and over again, you can say like meter 123, the 806 run, you know, or maybe it's PNGC Raft River. It's just a really handy way to keep your reports in line. You can have as many as you want. Yeah, I mean, that's you can have as many as you want. So use the bookmark names just to make sure that everything stays in order. Plus, if you need help troubleshooting, this will be pretty essential for saying, you know, maybe Springfield has 50 reports set up for saying, no, it's the Springfield, you know, Thurston one that's not plain ball. So you get your bookmark here. Then you pick your file format. Again, all the ones available on the UI to download manually are all here. Let's say Excel. You're going to pick your range. And this should start looking really familiar for those of you who use Power BI. This is all the same. And this is how I do it on the back end. So you can say you want your configured dates, so what you left off on the UI, or you can use the ranges. I would really discourage everybody from using yesterday. Like we talked about with the calls, if you pick yesterday and your meter was on the trouble log until maybe 9 in the morning and your report ran right before that, you've now missed yesterday. So you'd have to come in and manually download your file again. So yesterday is always kind of risky to me. Most popular are last 7 days and last 45. Keep in mind there is, we have seen some issues with last 45 for for chunks of meters for 5-minute data, where we made it so the biggest file that has been set up will leave our system just fine, but we are seeing issues on the receiving end. So for some reason, customers' firewalls or whatever are blocking these large files. So if you've set it up and it is just not coming to you, but the screen says that it's sent, but it's something on your side being blocked. So you can always break your file into multiple. You can have a big KW report, then a big KVAR, meters, you know, A through L and M through Z, however you need to make it happen. But just keep in mind, files can get too big. I haven't seen any issues with the scraping or the URL files. That's just the emails. So you pick your dates, and then you pick your retrieval method. So do you want it emailed to you? So if you click email, it will just email to whoever it is that's logged in, and then you can add in additional email addresses. So I can say, you know, then send it to that person and then this person. So you just want to do your semicolon in a space. I have this all in the process guide, but so you can add multiple in here too. And then you have your subject, whatever you want it to be. For the schedule, this is where you will say how often you want to receive the last 45 days. So we can say hourly, and you can say every 1 hour. You could say run every 6 hours, starting at 3 a.m. in the morning. Pretty much unlimited combinations. We'll talk about the bad part in a second. Pretty much any combination though you can think of. Dailies. Again, there's kind of all sorts of combos you could do on here. We have our weekly one and then monthly, and this one's more popular for doing like calendar days, like 1 through 4 and then 10. So kind of anything you can come up with, it can be done. You just have to kind of get a little crafty with the Power BI overlay here. And then
okay, Mallory.
Yep.
Sorry, 3 quick questions, I think.
Yep.
Currently, I have to wait until I receive the invoice to see the CSP data in portal reports. Will this continue in the future, thinking about what data I should use for scheduling monthly reports that would successfully also include the CSP info?
Good question. So the CSP in the peaks and totals report, that will not populate in the peaks and totals until the bill has been run. So you could pull the CSP report on the first of the month and it will have what you need except for the CSP if the bill isn't there. So it might beat you. So maybe like they ran the bill, it populated MDMR2 and you got the bill a little bit later, but it should always kind of be probably around the same time period. So yeah, CSP won't show up until the bill has been run.
Okay,
and I can actually see
next question.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I can see the questions. I just wasn't scrolling down. Sorry about that.
Okay, do you see the one from Noah?
Yeah. Okay, so we're saying if we select the last 7, that would give us a better chance of retrieving yesterday than selecting yesterday. Yes, absolutely. Weather dependent, system hiccup dependent. We always have meters, extra meters on our trouble log when we come in the morning. We're calling about, oh shoot, I think it's like maybe 1,500, 2,000 devices. A good chunk are customer owned, and they are every single make and model and new to old that you can possibly imagine. There are always issues. Just because we have to be able to call and understand the gambit of everything that's going on essentially in the West Coast. We have meters that, again, they've been there since the 80s and they're trucking along, so they're not being changed out. We have brand new technology, like the VPN tunnels that have caused a lot of issues recently. So chances are one of your meters is probably going to be on the trouble log. So what happens when all the calls are made? Our meter data collections team, who's all in metering, we all have multiple hats, they come in and they will review what's on the trouble log and they will rerun all the failed calls one more time. Most of the time, they all just needed one more run later on in the morning and they clear out. But again, that's about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. So if your reports are 5 a.m., you might be missing kind of that second attempt. So you could say, I want things daily. And no, you'd have to say hourly. I want things hourly starting at 5 a.m., but I want them every 3 hours. If you really wanted to get an update for yesterday. But I think the 7 days is a really good safe bet. A really, really good safe bet. And then the process guide. Are we sending those out, Maggie? I mean, I can send mine through my email. That's not a big deal. But how is that information getting out first off?
So we envisioned that when you finalize it, after a few minor edits, after you finalize it, that it would be on the metering resources page for everybody to be able to access from there.
Perfect. And then again, especially for the people who have those scheduled reports, I will be working with you just to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to fill this out. So I'm just going to call this person. I want last 45 days in Excel. I want it every day. Want it every day, every weekday, sure, at 9:30. If I say, I have messed this up many times, so if it is, so what is it, it's 2:40. So let's say I put in 2:15, and I am futzing with this, making changes, and I put this to 2:39. Maybe I didn't select PM, or maybe I didn't realize the clock is switched over. If you want it today, just keep in mind the start times and your start dates. Otherwise, it would show up, the next day. So AM, PM. Start date, I would put maybe tomorrow. And then for end date, you can leave blank, or you can just put in kind of a standard end of time if you feel comfortable with that, or just put a random date way in the future and call it good. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And if you did not select a file format or do something properly, it will error on you, and we'll show you what the error is. I'm going to save this. Okay. Where that just took me is the scheduled reports right here. So this is all the ones that I have set up currently. If I set this up, I was like, oh, shoot. I wanted this to be the last 7 days, but I also wanted to include another meter, not just Thurston. You can click the details right here, this arrow, and it will take you right back into this page. I can say I want the last 7, and then you can go to the bottom, go to the parameters. It will kind of just take you down the rabbit hole. And then maybe I wanted to add or remove a meter or something. I don't want to see Albi. Click Save. Brings you back here. Click Save again. And now you have the same email. You didn't have to create a new one. You can just edit it out. And then maybe I should have edited my bookmark. Okay. So when you set up one of these for a URL, it is essentially the exact same thing. And actually, all I'm going to do is edit this one. So let's say I want this to be a file download. I don't want it to be an email. I'm just going to go back in here. You would just click File Download, and you're going to notice all of this goes away. The key difference between the current URL method and the future is right now you have to tell me how often to set your report to publish, to be posted on Customer Portal for you to grab. What this ends up doing is this makes a custom URL just for you, and it will email it to you and put it on the screen there. So whenever you want to run the report, you just pull up this URL. So again, you will get an email. Let me show it to you real quickly here. You're going to get an email that looks like this. So your metering schedule report is ready, and here's the URL. Whoever has dealt with me on these knows I can speak a good tech talk, but I'm not actually a tech person. So what I have in the manual down here is what the vendor sent for us. How I understand it is because this is a token that is unique to the person that set this up, you would put this in your script, and there is no extra two-factor no, wait, how does this work? Basically, I don't think you actually have to have a username and password in your script anymore because this is your URL. Unless you somehow sent this out to everybody, this is your own really complicated instructions or your parameters for that specific report that you configured. If you went back in and, I changed this to last 45 and I added 3 meters, your URL stays the same, which is excellent. And then again, I don't think you actually have to have a username and password into your script for this. Do not quote me on that. The people who have this set up already, I think kind of had the bones to set it all up. You just kind of like redo this script. There are many different scripts out there. We have kind of a really basic skeleton that seems to get people where they need, but I'm sure that people can figure this out. So again, your URL is here too. You could just right-click this and say copy link, and this would be your URL. Or let's say that I set this up and I gave this URL to my IT person, and they're pulling this file like once a day at 8:30 or something like that. But I get word that an edit was just done, and I want to see it now. Rather than have them re-pull that file, I can just come in here, click this, and it will pull it for me. It'll auto-download. Click here. That's not the screen. If you can hear that in the background, that's the truck. The screen does not yell backup alarms at you. So it would have to get a test and just download. So if you wanted to pull that specific file on demand. So what I wrote in the user guide is basically for this scraping is all I know. So get you your URL, and then you would write your script to do that. How often they are published. So that's the big difference is they aren't published. If I just click this link, it just pulls up whatever, it's like you're manually pulling it over and over. So I don't have to publish it for you. You can do it whenever you want. So this is the part where we all need to start being careful with it. So when the URL is cut over, and that first Monday, whoever sets them up, awesome. I have all the parameters for everybody's file and how often it's ran, the timing, everything like that. What we try to do on the back end is when you're in here, go to reports, because there are a lot of files, again, 350, 400, some run hourly, some run once a year, some run every day. We try to stagger the timing. So we try not to run everything at the top of the hour or anything like that. So if you're going to set something up, just pick like a random time, like 2:35, or just mix it up. Don't always pick 2 o'clock. And if you decide that you want to download 100 meters at 5-minute intervals and you want it every 5 minutes, you're probably going to break this whole thing for everybody. So just be really cognizant about how often you really need that data. We call most of our meters once a day, so keep that in mind too. The meters we use for scheduling, we call hourly. Because the reports aren't updating that fast, there really shouldn't even be a need for hourly at this point. So just kind of keep that in mind. We are going to be monitoring the traffic, and if one report in particular is causing a lot of chaos, then we'll end up reaching out to that person and asking them to modify. If it's just that everybody's using these and we have to adapt, that's what we have to do, but we just don't want, we don't want the issues of December EIM testing to happen ever again. I don't know what SOAP is, Bill, or Mitchell. I was thinking you were Bill Wall. Mitchell asked, so SOAP is completely gone. Will there be a guide provided showing how to programmatically download? Yeah, so again, you're gonna create your URL and you'll get your link automatically via email. or you can just right-click the UI. There we go. You can just right-click here, and this is your link, and you would put that into a script to auto-download. That's literally as far as my knowledge goes of this kind of thing. I can put in here what the current method is, the Microsoft authentication method that has the current script. That was, again, kind of a skeleton for how this works, and I think people have just kind of taken that and adjusted it for their own purposes that kind of got them started. But outside of that, I don't have any more information on it, and from past experience on our side, that's about all the information we could provide anyway. But I don't, I'll put in how it works now, the instructions, and I think it's really similar. It's just kind of more on demand whenever you want it.
Mallory?
Mm-hmm.
A quick question. You had mentioned that sometimes if the data is too much, you've requested too much data in one report. Is there a way to duplicate the existing report so that you can then just go in and remove the meters or something so that you don't have to recreate it twice? You see what I'm asking? So
yeah,
if you had,
on here, I don't think there's like a, copy or anything like that. Yeah.
Just asking in case somebody was thinking
no, that's
wanted
a great
to make
question.
sure they had it.
Yeah. And if that does become a need, we should definitely bring that up. Oh, okay. Okay, Mitchell. So SOAP is the current form of authentication used to download the report files programmatically, that they are getting to CSV. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't really have more information on that, but you can do this in the Sandbox right now, so you could test it out, get a link, use the current method as, the basics. Again, we'll have the, this is just what I have from the vendor. And if there's a step I'm missing, we can figure it out. Like, we will figure it out. This URL process is always kind of the last little hurdle we have to overcome. So if anybody figures it out and has a good method they want to share, please share. But again, I think using the existing setup and modifying it slightly should get the job done. Maggie, Noah asked, how do we access the Sandbox? Do you want to talk about that? Then I have one more thing to talk about.
Yes, I'm typing the URL into the answer in the Q&A, but it is www.aep.training.bpa.gov/customer portal. You also have to have permission, Noah. So if you aren't sure that if you have not received an email with a temporary password, please check your junk email folder. And if you don't have it there, please email the customer portal support box, and we'll be able to investigate that for you. And again, the customer portal support mailbox is customerportal@bpa.gov.
I'll note to myself there. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, okay. So just remember, this happened the last day of February. I kind of think the biggest question that's going to happen is on March 1st. We are going to get a lot of questions about how MDMR2 isn't working or it's down. So please try to spread the word that this is changing. And last day of February, you have to log into a new site. I think that's going to be the biggest thing we get. And then, yeah, if you don't hear from me by like later in the day on Friday about what to do with your URL report, your scraping, please reach out to me so I make sure I have the correct email addresses for the outreach.
Thank you, Mallory. Is there any other additional questions specifically to the metering information? Okay, I did want to mention, and as a reminder, this is a sandbox environment, and so whatever is done in this sandbox environment will not go over into the production system. So please keep that in mind. This is an environment for you to try things out, get the feel of the new customer portal so that when we go live at the end of the month, you'll be ready and to jump right in there and get going. The other part is, again, we are having an issue with the permissions where some people are logging in and then getting, "You're not authorized." We are working on that with our vendor right now, and we should have that resolved hopefully first thing in the morning, but we can keep you posted on that as well. We do have customer portal CP admin user training tomorrow. That is specifically for the customer admins of the sites to show them and walk through with them how to set up their users so that they can also practice in the sandbox. And again, those users that get created in in the sandbox environment will not go over into the production environment. But we'll have that training tomorrow. It's the same session both times, so that there's a time in the morning from 9 to 10:30, and then a time in the afternoon from 1 to 2:30 to try to help with meeting your schedule and the tasks and responsibilities that you have at work. And we have that as a repeat next Tuesday, the 22nd as well, trying to be able to capture those CP admins and helping them. We will be providing a manual for the training, for the CP admins so that they have something hands-on with them if they need to refer back to. So we'll be providing that tomorrow as well. Are there any final questions?
Maggie, there are a few questions in the chat.
All right, Mallory, it looks like a question with regards to the URL specific.
Let's see here, Q&A. Nope, come on, Q&A.
And while you're looking at that, Kristen, you asked about in the sandbox, should we expect that all the permissions and access is set up as it will be in late February with the switchover? For example, seeing all expected meter points and contract info. So this is the sandbox environment. We do not have all documents loaded into this environment, but there are quite a few. There is a lot of documentation that goes into customer portal, specifically in contracts. There's thousands and thousands of records there. So, and it takes a long time to download those. So when we go live in production at the end of the month, we're expecting the majority of that information to be there. But again, we can update you on that on the 28th to let you know if there's still some more contract information that hasn't been completed yet, just because of the amount of time that it takes to load that. The existing users that we have in Customer Portal today is what will be loaded in at the end of the month in the production environment. So if you have an account today, you will have that account going forward in the production environment. It's the new users that will not have access that the CP admins will have to add after go live. Does that answer your question, Kristen? Great. Mallory,
back that I will get the answer from our QA and vendor. I know this is all already worked out, and the authentication, and I'm probably just not explaining it very well.
Okay.
I don't have all the information, though, on all the ins and outs. So I will ask them about the security and authentication and get something back into the user guide that spells it out a little more clear. Unless this makes sense, I'm not presenting. I will find something, make sure what's in the user guide is up to date and makes sense, and then get that sent out.
All right. Great. Were there any other questions? Again, if something comes up after the fact, because I know that happens to me, I've gotten off the call with, customer support or whatever, and then it's like, oh, I meant to ask this. Please email Customer Portal support at customerportal@bpa.gov, and we'll get those answered for you. And then again, this is the Sandbox environment, so any changes that are made here will not be going forward into the production environment. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Remember, Customer Portal training, admin training is tomorrow, and then we have this repeat presentation on Thursday of this week. So if you have some coworkers that weren't able to attend today, but can on Thursday, let them know. And we have been running ahead of schedule. So we originally said that the metering part of this presentation would be happening later, and it's actually arriving sooner. So have your additional users log in earlier than the prescribed metering times that had originally been posted. Mallory is just coming right in after our presentation is completed. With that, I thank you for your time today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Maggie and Mallory.
Thank you.
And recording is stopped.